Dog Works Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dog Works. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. You can support this podcast on patreon.com/firstpawmedia.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by First Paw Coffee Company, specializing in private label premium blend coffee. If you're serious about coffee, you should check it out. First Paw Coffee's passion is high-quality, small-batch roasted coffee. They take the extra time to taste and get everything perfect before they release new blends. They aim to bring you a cup of happiness each time you pour yourself some coffee. Find out more at ak.dog/free and enter for a chance to win some First Paw Coffee prizes, a book from our collection, and tote bag. One winner will be selected at random each month. That's ak.dog/free.
Did you know that new research says dogs can tell when you're being intentional with them? The canines would sit or lie down when humans purposefully withheld a reward. Yup, the dogs of the world would revolt if they didn't get their way. It's scientifically proven, so let's find out why.
From First Paw Media, sponsored by Alaska Dog Works Professional Canine Training Center in Anchorage, Alaska. This is Dog Works Radio, committed to families and their dogs to build lifelong and fulfilling relationships. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert and Michele Forto.
Hello and welcome to Dog Works Radio. This is your host, Michele Forto, and I'm the lead trainer of Alaska Dog Works, where we help owners and their dogs have better relationships. On today's podcast, we are going to dive into 3 topics. Will the dogs revolt if they don't get what they want? Maybe. Scientists are looking into it. Also, we will discuss why noises in your house may be causing your dog anxiety, and if you stick around, you will find out about 3 books that just might make a new dog owner's life a little bit easier. Let's dive in. Ask any pet owner and they'll tell you that their dogs are members of the family, and new research says that our pups understand us far more than we might realize. According to a new study published in the journal Scientific Reports, your dog can actually determine if you are doing something purposefully or by mistake. Researchers call this instinct theory of mind, but previously thought that only humans could channel this notion. Now, with recent findings, a team of scientists found out that dogs can do the same thing. Whoa. Theory of mind, you guys. To discover this, the scientists out of Germany studied 51 dogs in different conditions to see how they would react when people intentionally or unintentionally refrained from giving them a treat, also known as unable versus unwilling paradigm. The conditions included dogs and people separated by a clear barrier as the human held a treat. Humans took the treat back through a gap in the barrier and kept the treat for themselves in the unwilling condition. On the other hand, the unable condition included humans dropping the treat when attempting to give it to the dog, and also not being able to fit the treat through the gap at all. If dogs are indeed able to ascribe intention in action to humans, Dr. Julianne Brower from the Max Planck Institute for the Science of Human History said in a university release, we would expect them to show different reactions in the unwilling condition compared to the 2 unable conditions. As it turns out, this is exactly what we observed. As a result, the study showed how much time dogs would wait until they tried to get the treat. When they didn't think the human wanted to give the treat to them in the unwilling condition, the dogs would wait longer by sitting or lying down to imply that they were trying to satisfy their owner in order to get the treat, after all. Further, the scientists noticed that the dogs would stop wagging their tails when people would intentionally not give them a treat. The dogs in our study clearly behave differently depending on whether the actions of a human experimenter were intentional or unintentional, says Britta Schunemann, first author of the study. This suggests that dogs may indeed be able to identify humans' intention and action, add Hans Rakazi from the University of Göttingen. More behavioral research will also help confirm their findings overall. Nevertheless, the findings present important initial evidence that dogs may have at least one aspect of theory of mind, the capacity to recognize intention and action, researchers conclude. We're going to take a short break here, and when we return, we're going to talk about how everyday noises in your household may be causing anxiety in your dog.
We're living in uncertain times. If there is one thing we can be thankful for, that is the recent pet adoption boom. Shelters are being cleared out, and that means you may not know much about your new best friend. Alaska Dogworks virtual and on-site classes are the best way for you to build a lasting bond and learn about your pup, new or old. From setting up a proper routine to learning the commands and much more, Alaska Dogworks provides you with the resources to develop your dog into one of the best. Right now, Alaska Dogworks has an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Go to alaskadogworks.com now and use promo code DOGWORKS and save 20% off your training program at the time of your booking. Visit alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS to save 20% today. That's alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS at the time of booking.
The everyday noises in your household could cause your dog anxiety. Here's why. A loud clap of thunder during a storm can not only frighten you in the middle of the night, but your beloved dog could also be shaken up. That's not all that can scare your pet or cause them stress, though. Even noises made in your household on a day-to-day basis can cause your pet anxiety. A new study by researchers out of the University of California, Davis, published in the journal Frontiers in Veterinary Science, found that everything from the vacuum cleaner to the microwave sounds can make them nervous. The team noted that high-frequency intermittent sounds that come from the tools and appliances you use on a regular basis are likely to make your dog more anxious than low-frequency continuous ones. We know that there are a lot of dogs that have noise sensitivities, but we underestimate their fearfulness to noise we consider normal because many dog owners can't read body language, said Emma Grigg, lead author and a research associate and lecturer at the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, in a university release. Curious about how you can tell if your dog is feeling nervous? The study authors note that cringing, trembling, or running away are common. More understated signs are when your pet pants, licks their lips, turns their head away from the sharp sounds, stiffens their body, turns their ears back, or lowers their head below their shoulders. Out of the 386 dog owners they surveyed in 62 video recordings they studied, researchers noted that most pet parents confused their dog's anxiety with playfulness. There is a mismatch between owners' perceptions of the fearfulness and the amount of fearful behavior actually present. Some react with amusement rather than concern, Grigg shared. We hope this study gets people to think about the sources of sound that might be causing their dog stress so they can take steps to minimize their dog's exposure to it. The noise frequencies dogs experience are different than humans, so the researchers say to be mindful on what they could hear. They also recommend paying attention to the little things, like making sure batteries are charged in smoke detectors so they won't beep, and removing them from areas that have loud, harsh sounds. Dogs use body language much more than vocalizing, and we need to be aware of that, Greg added. We feed them, house them, love them, and we have a caretaker obligation to respond better to their anxiety. We're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to give you guys 3 books that will make life easier for you, the dog owner.
So earlier, you learned about First Paw Coffee Company. Now I'm going to tell you about its Trailbreaker Blend. First Paw Coffee Company's Trailbreaker Blend is inspired by our love of the Northern Lights, frosty paws, and sled dog trails. How cool is that? The Trailbreaker Blend is a private label premium blend that was developed just for them. It's a medium dark roast from Central and South America, highlighting flavors of brown sugar, hazelnut, and plum. Be sure to go to ak.dog/free and enter to win a bunch of cool prizes. That's ak.dog/free.
As exciting as getting a new puppy is, it is also a scary proposition. A puppy means you will now be responsible for a creature that can't communicate its needs in words, but has all the emotions. If you are not scared to get a puppy for the first time, then perhaps you are not ready for one yet. As a new puppy owner, you need to understand that you are now a parent. You need to make sure they remain physically and mentally healthy and never experience any kind of abuse or trauma in your care. Fortunately for you, there are some amazing books out there that teach you everything you need to be taught as a new puppy owner. We've picked some great ones for you. Here are some of the best books for new dog owners. Don't Shoot the Dog, The New Art of Teaching and Training by Karen Pryor. The days of punishment are over, but few people seem to know that. New dog owners are usually eager to train their dogs, but when the doggo slips, they can't help but resort to punishments. This book by the trainer Karen Pryor emphasizes positive reinforcement and guides the dog owners on the right ways to do it. Not just that, this book convinces many dog owners to change their methods by proving that positive reinforcement is much more effective in behavior modification. The Other End of the Leash, Why We Do What We Do Around Dogs by Patricia B. McConnell. As a new dog owner, it will boggle your mind to see your pup immediately fall in love with the one dog or form instant hate with another, or to see one of your dogs love the hugs and the snuggles while the other one is hating it. Another confusing process is when 2 dogs respond differently to the same training. These questions and many more are answered in this book as McConnell takes us inside the mind of our canine friends and helps us understand them better. The cherry on top, she does it hilariously, so you're guaranteed to have a good read. The Art of Raising a Puppy by the Monks of Newskeet. This book is for people who've never taken care of another being their entire lives and are now suddenly responsible for a cute little puppy. The text in this book is like an old and experienced friend who's there to guide you every step of the way. This book almost makes puppy rearing look quite easy. Stick with the teachings of this book and train your puppy accordingly, and we assure you, you won't go wrong. I must mention that the monks of the Newskeet are renowned in the dog world for their 30 years of experience in all things canine. Much like raising a child, pet parenting is an ongoing learning process. However, we suggest reading these books first and then heading out to bring a new furry member into your home and life to cultivate a healthy relationship and raise a happy pet from the very beginning. Do you like what you're hearing on our podcast? Please be sure to let us know on our social channels. Just search DogWorks Radio. For more training tips and tricks, check out alaskadogworks.com. Thank you for joining us today. And did you know the the single best thing you can do is tell your family and friends about our show. Ask them to listen to this episode, and maybe they will become one of our rabid fans too. I'm Michele Forto for DogWorks Radio. See you next time.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company. Learn more at firstpaw.coffee.
Did you know that Alaska Dog Works trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michele Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska Dog Works on social media and at alaskadogworks.com. From First Paw Media, this is DogWorks Radio. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you'll see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert and Michele Forto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media. You can support this podcast on patreon.com/firstpawmedia.